Hi, welcome to our last Facebook Live for 2022. I'm Tom Laskowski, one of the instructors at Midwest Native Skills. And we have kind of a special program we have tonight. But before we get started, I just want to go over a few brief things. We had a great year this year. Classes went gangbusters, one of our best years since school started in 1997. Our next classes really aren't going to be till 2020. And our first ones will be our homesteading classes in March, and of course our plant classes. So if you're interested in our plant classes for next year, you might want to sign up because our first one is already filled up. And that's the spring class in May, and our July class is about half filled up. So it's going to be a great year next year. Our survival classes are starting to fill up even. So people have a real interest in a little more about self-reliance, and that's going to be our topic for this evening. So I just wanted to thank everybody for a fantastic year, and wanted to get right into our topic for this evening. Have a good friend of mine, Chuck Russo on. Chuck and I have been friends for several years now, and we were talking just the other day about survival. And Chuck's you might have recognized Chuck. He's been at a couple of our classes, survival classes, and his day job, he heads up the transportation systems at one of our vocational schools here up in Cleveland. So he's got a good pulse on younger people and where they're coming from, and he's got a pretty good insight on the younger perspective, especially after this COVID. And we were talking about survival, and he had some pretty good insights that I thought you might be interested in. So I asked him to come on. He was nice enough to come on. So Chuck, thanks for coming on here.
Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome.
With survival, with this pandemic, things were changing. And I know we were talking a bit the other day, and you were talking about just your perspective on it. So I thought you could share that with some of the people watching.
Well, yeah, I started thinking about, we have a lot of young people today that seem to have anxiety issues. Anxiety is real high in people. And whether you believe in vaccines, or you don't believe in vaccines, or you believe in pandemics, you don't believe in pandemics, it's really irrelevant. Right. Because the anxiety in the young people is real. Mm-hmm. And I see it today.
Are you seeing that at school?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And these are, 16 to 18-year-olds.
Okay.
And so you see it every day. And I believe that we need to work towards a way to relieve some of this anxiety in society as a whole. So I start thinking about these things, and then you start thinking about survival classes, and you start thinking about what are kids involved in? Well, there's sports, and there's music, and there's all types of things. And I'm going, even they started from survival training.
What do you mean by that?
Well, right, I'm reaching, right? I think I read. No.
Yeah.
Well, most, not all, but most kids, when they're learn how to swim.
Yeah, I did.
Right, you learn how to swim. Not everyone does, but parents, if you have a pool in the backyard, as the child is growing up, you want them to learn how to swim so they're safe. Mm-hmm. If you go to the beach, you go on vacation, you don't have to worry. They need to know how to swim, right? So that's something you teach a young person at a young age, right? How to swim. Mm-hmm. You're teaching them how to survive. Swimming lessons is a form of survival. I never thought so you don't drown, right?
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's kind of basic survival.
Right. Yeah. So now, let's say, for instance, you get somebody that really likes to swim. Mm-hmm. Most kids are like, yeah, swimming's fun, Mm-hmm. But you get somebody that really likes it, so they go out later on in life and they join the diving team or they join the swim team, and they really take it on. Well, it started back from their survival training. The parents taught them to swim so they could be safe, mm-hmm. right? So they're not afraid of swimming. They're not afraid of water. They're not afraid if they fall in the water. They're not afraid. It took away all that anxiety that training did, mm-hmm. right?
Makes sense.
So as a parent, and my kids are grown now, but as a parent, as of dealing with young people, seeing the anxiety that they have nowadays, would it be smart for when we have the conversation, when you have a budget and you have your home, would it be smart to have the conversation of maybe we need to put a little bit of money aside mm-hmm. for some survival training, just like we would do if we had to pay to play sports. I know there's high schools here in Cleveland that don't have a lot of money anymore due to whatever reasons, And you have to pay to play sports. A friend of my wife and mine has kids that both play football in a high school. And it's $750 to pay to play.
For each of them?
For each of them.
It's a lot of money.
Right. Now, sports are great because it builds teamwork and exercise and camaraderie, and you learn how to be part of a team and something bigger than yourself, right? So it's excellent. It's an excellent thing for a kid, but how many of them are going to take those skills for life with them? As you get older, you can't throw the balls hard anymore. You can't run as fast anymore.
Believe me, I know, I know that.
Right? Yeah. So at some point, those skills become fleeting because of just natural age, right?
Well, some parents think that their kid will go on to major league sports, though.
Yeah, and there's a possibility of that. It's usually somewhere around less than 1% from my research.
Really?
Yeah, less than 1% of all football players who play college football.
That's college, not high school.
Not college, and there's a lot of colleges in Ohio especially. But 1% of the people that play college football across the United States, less than 1% makes it to the NFL.
That's a low percentage.
That's a very low percentage. Now, my daughter was really into music. I was into music when I was younger. My father was into music. He got me started in music. My daughter played a different instrument than I do, but was also into music. That's something that bonded us a little bit. We both liked music. She played a different instrument, but she played in the band at school. Now, again, schools, it's pay to be in the band.
Well, I didn't know that.
Right. So you got to pay for the instrument rental, that kind of stuff, the uniforms. So it can get quite expensive. So I know, like, when our kids were little, we had a budget for certain things. You know, swimming lessons was in the budget because that's going to keep them safe. I'm just saying that maybe we should start thinking about as survival training should be in the budget. Once you start having that training, right? I mean, you can then teach the father and mother could teach the child. The child can be there during the training. Then that child can teach their child when they become an adult, and so on and so on. Those skills you don't ever lose. At the Career Center, we teach kids skills all the time. We teach them skills to get a job, to be employable. Once you learn those skills, you don't lose them. They're yours forever.
So you learn them once.
Right. So if I learn to make a fire without a match or a lighter or any kind of accelerant, right? I got that forever.
A lot of people say, oh, that's impossible. Because when I talk to people, they right away say, match, lighter, and a can of gasoline, they joke.
Right.
But there's 40 ways to make fire without matches.
Right. And I've been to a couple of your classes, but I am considered, believe me, a novice. Okay? There's a lot more practicing I need to do on certain, but just the stuff I learned about what a fire does for you. Okay? It's not just heat, it's not just food, it calms you down. Okay? So if a young person who, right now, these kids have anxiety just about going to school.
Have you seen it?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, they have anxiety about being in school because they've been home for a year. Okay? And what are they doing at home? They're sitting in front of a screen and they're doing what they want when they want.
Usually when they're video games.
Yeah. Talking to principals across our area, the greater Cleveland area, they say fights in school are probably up 50, 60%. They're not, the anxiety's there and they don't know how to act. So we need more training, right? Education and training should help these young people lower this anxiety that they're suffering. Because when you know something and you're confident on something, you don't worry about it anymore. You can take that off your plate. These young people today have a lot on their plate. Okay? None of us have been through a pandemic before. Right? But we can look back to people like Katrina. Okay? People who had survival training survived Katrina for that reason. Now, it was bigger than survival training. You needed first responders. There's not enough first responders for as many people who needed them, right? So if I have survival training, I can survive for 2, 3, 4 days until those first responders can get to me. They want to get to me, they just can't. There's just too many, right? So when you're talking about budgets, when you're talking about spending money, when we're talking about the current society and the way our kids fit in society today with anxiety and nervousness, survival training seems like a no-brainer. It really does seem like a no-brainer because we're going to take away those worries. Just like the worries of falling into the water aren't there anymore.
I know for like Katrina or for another disaster, I see a lot of people, when something bad happens, their first response is call 911, call the police, call the fire. They don't have any plan for themselves. They're always relying on someone else first. Now,
Right.
we all have a limit, and we all need someone else. But
Right.
that shouldn't be your first go-to. You should rely on yourself as your first go-to, and that could be a lot of different levels.
Absolutely. But that comes with what? Education.
Education training.
Right. So if I'm teaching somebody to do something,
Right.
On transportation related, they've never done before, they're going to be a little hesitant about doing it.
Sure.
After they've done it 3 times, I got this.
Yeah.
Oh, you got a bad brake pad? I can do disc brakes. I've done it 5, 6 times. Mm-hmm. They're not afraid. They're not calling the tow truck. They're going to fix that brake themselves.
So if they're broken down on the car, rather than their first call is AAA, they can maybe open the hood and kind of poke around.
Right.
And it might be over their head.
It might be. And at some point it may break down. You have to get AAA, right? Involved. But it's not your first move, just like you said.
So you got some confidence building.
Right.
So
Which lowers anxiety, which helps society as a whole. I mean, we have to do it together. We need other people.
Right.
Right? What better way for a family to get together and talk and open up their lines of communication by going for survival training for the weekend, right? Leave the cell phones at home or in the car, right? And learn these skills and work on them together. Now you've got something to talk about at dinner. Yeah. Or maybe some families aren't having dinner together because everybody has to work crazy hours.
Right.
But you've got that one thing to bring you together. So it just kind of hit me like all at once. And that's why I kind of like came to you with this, because it was like, I can't be the only one who has this thought, I'm sure.
Okay, but other people out there think the same way.
Right. Yeah. But when we're looking to spend money, we should, like we do with musical instruments and sports, which are very important for developing young people, we should also look at some type of survival training. Basic survival training could absolutely lower a young person's anxiety because they have that confidence that, yeah, I can get through this. I can make that fire. I know what plant to eat if I was really hungry. I know what plant to use if I get a bee sting.
That's a big one because, I mean, we all are out or get a cut in the woods and you pick up a weed, plantain, not the banana, but the weed.
Right.
Chew it up, put it on there. It's going to prevent infection.
Right.
And the big one, people always say poison ivy. You know, the cure usually grows within 50 feet. There's jewel weed. You just take the stalk, rub it on. You won't get the rash.
Okay,
and it's right there, and people don't know about it. And people are definitely afraid of poison ivy.
Right. And once they know, it's over with. I'm not afraid of it anymore.
Right. And if you get into poison ivy, you go, oh crap, I got into poison ivy. I'll take care of it. And you go on your way. It's not like, oh my gosh, I got into, and you're all prepared.
Right. So the things that we've done, I think, and this is my opinion. Yeah. The things that we've done in the past with our young people they work awesome. The sports, the music, the camaraderie, the getting together, the chess club, those things. Those are all fantastic things. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. But times have changed. This pandemic has changed us. Okay, 100-year storms used to come every 100 years. Now they come every 4 months. Yeah.
I've noticed that.
The climate has changed. Yeah. Right? Whether you want to believe it or not, that's fine. You don't have to. But the information has shown that it's changed. So we need to get people ready. Yeah. I think, so I honestly, 5 years ago, I would never think of taking a survival class.
Okay.
Be completely honest with you. My idea of roughing it 5 years ago is a hotel with no room service.
Okay, I hear that a lot.
Okay.
I do.
But it really does make sense. And there's so much to learn. It's really cool. Okay? I didn't know that the cure for poison ivy usually grows within 50 feet of poison until right now. Right. Now I know that. Right. Now I could pass it on to other people that I know. Right. Right? I got it now. And the nice thing was, you're willing to give all this knowledge and information out.
It's there.
It's all
And
there.
I'm sure your grandparents knew it. They just didn't pass it on to your parents, and your parents didn't know it, so how could they pass it on to you?
Right. But because we didn't do those things.
The way I think of it is a backup plan. Now, you have a backup plan for insurance. You have car insurance, right?
Right.
Most people have car insurance. And you're paying for car insurance every 6 months or every year.
Right.
And usually it's what, $600?
Yeah, depending.
Yep, depending.
Depends how fast you drive.
Right. Look, I know how you drive, so you're probably paying a little more than that. Anyway, but you're paying that every year, $600, or fire insurance,
Right.
$1,000 on your house, $1,000 every year,
Every year.
and just in case.
Just in case.
So if you do some survival training or some preparedness, you pay for that once, and you have it the rest of your life.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not renewable. You don't have to renew it.
No.
Okay? How to start a fire doesn't change.
No, it doesn't.
How a car stops has changed big time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when you compare the technology,
Right.
how technology has changed, it changes constantly.
Yeah.
Survival hasn't changed. The human body hasn't changed. No. We've gotten smarter. How we feed it, how we treat it, how we, the medical science is going absolutely crazy. But it hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. So survival hasn't changed. So I don't have to buy it all the time.
No.
I got to buy it once. So I take my family of 4.
Yep.
And I sign up for a weekend survival course.
Yep.
I get into the woods with my family.
Relax.
Relax without screens.
Without screens, that's important.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Without screens. Yep. Learn some stuff that I'm going to have forever.
Yep.
Right? Something that I can relate to kids with in a conversation.
And you're learning it with them because you're unfamiliar, your kids are unfamiliar.
Right.
You're learning it together, and you're asking each other questions.
Right. And on the car ride home, we're talking about it.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Or when we're out in the yard and cutting the grass.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, this is that plant that helps you if you so you don't get bit by mosquitoes.
Right.
This weed.
Yep.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now they've got that. So what is that worth? Mm-hmm. So to me, I sit there and look. Okay, a family of 4 takes a weekend class, so they're gone. They show up Friday evening, Saturday, and you're out of there noonish on Sunday.
And they get fed even.
Right. Noonish on Sunday. A family of 4 for a weekend trip. Yeah. If I got to drop $950, $1,000 to go away for a weekend.
One time. And
Never again.
Never again.
Right. So what did I spend in 10 years?
Yeah.
Right. What did I spend in 20 years?
Right.
Right. It's not a huge deal when you really look at it. And what you're getting is something that lasts forever.
Another thing I found in teaching classes, and this isn't me talking, it's other students coming back, it translates to other parts of their life. They get to a different perspective on what they do. They can problem solve better.
Okay.
Because when they're in a shelter, they're looking at things differently. It gives people a little more self-confidence, because I hear this a lot. People go in the woods, everything's green and everything's poisonous, or people are afraid of the woods. Right. And I always ask, what are you afraid of? And I get the same answer, I don't know, because they're just not familiar with it.
Right.
So we go in the woods.
Right. So if you find yourself in the woods,
right,
and you're like me, and I don't know, now I'm anxious. Right. Now I'm scared. I'm afraid to do anything. So what do? Maybe I do nothing. I may not do the wrong thing, but maybe I do nothing. Maybe nothing is the wrong thing.
Yeah, it is.
Right? So you don't know, but you take that little bit of training, that one weekend,
right,
takes away all that one plant class, mm-hmm, right? Takes away a lot of that anxiety, a lot of that I don't know, right? So you can move toward something, right?
I think we all like to have control in our life, and part of having control is having a plan.
Right.
And if you know what that plan is, if you ever get turned around in the woods or whatever, having a plan, knowing what to do, and that plan, and this is how I start every survival class. Number 1 is shelter, fire, water, and food. So you're lost. What do you deal with first on that list? I remember, he said shelter. So that's what you deal with. Then fire to keep yourself warm, water, and then food. So you have a plan, and that gives you something to hang on to. You're not wandering going, I'm frightened, I don't know what to do.
Right. I've been talking to my students about carrying different things in their car for survival.
Okay.
Car breaks down.
Right.
It's November, December in Ohio. Mm-hmm. For those of you that know in Ohio, it's cold.
It's getting-
Your car breaks down, right? An extra jacket, a hat, a pair of gloves, right? A gallon of water, right? Those things. The car could be the shelter, right?
You got it. Yep.
The car is a shelter. The extra layer of clothes to keep you warm. I've got my water with me, right? Maybe I have cell service. Maybe I don't have cell service.
Right.
Maybe I have cell service, but the weather's bad and AAA can't get to me for 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
Right? I need to hunker down there. It's safer than trying to walk the roads on a snowy night when it's dark.
That's very true.
Okay? So I need to hunker down in that car. I've got these things. So we talk about putting together a survival kit along with a first aid kit. You need to have these little kits in the car, especially in the wintertime.
And people don't think about that.
No. Because the car's always going to work, right? Well, no, it's a piece of machinery and it could stop working at any time.
Or you could slide off the road and it might work, but it doesn't get traction.
Right.
You know,
Right.
It doesn't work.
So there's all these different things that started hitting me when I start seeing, because I have to deal with this anxiety issue every day. Every day I have to deal with this anxiety
You're
issue.
seeing it more in the kids
Yeah.
ever since this pandemic?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
It was 1 or 2 here or there that had the issue. Now it's closer to 60%.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, what your beliefs are completely irrelevant because that kid still has that anxiety. You're not going to convince them otherwise. You're not going to convince that anxiety to go away. Education, training, and trust is going to make the anxiety go away.
And these kids, when they come to school, they go home, they're not getting into the woods. I mean, the kids don't
They're
go
not even
into-
going outside.
They're never going outside.
And they spend a year in the house,
Okay.
pretty much unsupervised, while mom and dad are at work.
So it's kind of up to the parents to maybe help.
I think it'll help everybody.
Yeah, to help everybody.
It'll help everybody. My kids, like I said, are grown.
Yeah.
I would love to go on a weekend survival with them.
Right.
Because they're grown now,
Right.
but they still don't have that training or knowledge. Right? They could still get in a bad situation. Okay? And now they're getting to the point where they're getting married and thinking about having children. Well, I want my grandchildren to be safe.
It would be nice if their grandfather taught them how to do these survival.
Right, because that would give me an excuse to spend even more time with them.
Sure.
Right?
And I'd be happy to train them, but it's nice when they're growing up and somebody says, "Where'd you learn how to make that fire?" "Oh, my grandpa taught me."
Right.
It just feels better.
Right. My dad started me with music.
Okay.
So I understand that. Well, boy, you did that really well. Well, you know, my dad started me when I was young.
That just feels
No, I
good
took
to
years
say.
and years of lessons.
Sure.
After that, but my dad started me with that.
That just sounds the way it should be.
Right.
Maybe that's my nostalgia way of thinking, but that's the way it should be.
Right. I truly am, for the first time, worried about our young people. And the pandemic's not gone, whether you believe it or not. They keep telling us people are still getting sick.
Right.
Okay. So this isn't a political thing. I'm just saying because of that anxiety's still there, and it's not going away yet. It's going to take us, our young people, a number of years to come out of this.
And when this pandemic's gone, something else is going to take over. And it might not be a disease. It might be a snowstorm. It might be, God forbid, the internet goes down. I mean, that's going to be a tremendous. Could you see that?
All right. It would cripple this country.
Yeah.
It would cripple this country.
And it's going to happen, in my opinion. I mean,
But it could be, like you said, it could be a weather thing.
It could be a weather. It could be a solar flare. I mean, we could go on, but something in the future is going to happen.
Or how about nothing happens?
Okay.
Let's say nothing.
Nothing happens.
Let's say nothing happens.
Okay.
You still have that education.
Right.
You still have that training. You still have that confidence that, you know what, if it does, I'm okay. It's just like the snowblower. Okay. Every year, if I don't take the snowblower out of the shed, get it all oiled up, put fresh gas in it, make sure it starts and runs,
Right.
and everything works, and then put it in its spot in the garage so it's ready to
go.
that, right? It won't snow that much. If I don't do that, we will get snow like you wouldn't believe.
You better go out and get that because I don't want to snow this.
No, I did. It's ready to go. So it's sitting aside. It's ready to go.
So we can thank you for no station.
But if you don't have that training, and it happens, you're in trouble. You have that training and it don't happen, so what?
And you know how my classes are. The first class is not a rough and tough hardship class. We give you meals, you're sleeping in a tent, because it's designed for people that want to learn. It's not, let's see how miserable we can make you. It's let's see how much information we can teach you.
Just like teaching that kid to swim, and all of a sudden they decided swimming is really cool, and now I want to be on the swim team when I get older.
So the first
But not
swimming
everybody
class, you
does
don't
it.
throw them in the 9 foot
Right.
deep and say, okay,
Go.
let's see how you do, kid. No, you take them in, you
Easily teach them how to swim, right?
Yeah.
If I get this little bit of training this weekend,
Right.
Yeah. Wow, that was really cool. I had a really good time. I really enjoyed it.
Then you go on.
I want to go on and take more.
Then you go
I
a
want to
little
take
deeper
right,
water.
a little deeper. I want to take bigger classes. I want to take longer classes. I want to do one where I got to make my own shelter next time.
Okay.
Or you take that basic one and go, I'm
That was
good.
cool.
That's
I know
what
how to
want.
swim.
Right. That's what I wanted to do. I know how to make a fire. I can make a shelter if I need to. I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good. Right? Yep. It's not about ramming this idea down anybody's throat. It's thinking about it.
It's not about fear either. I don't want to teach from a fear base either.
No.
It's just being prepared.
Hopefully you prepare your snowblower and it don't snow. Hopefully you prepare yourself and you never have to use it.
That's right. But you feel awful stupid if you need it. And
But when you have it, automatically you don't have to, there's less things you have to worry about.
Yeah.
There's less things you have to worry
common sense.
about. Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's not common anymore.
That's true. You have a good perspective from just the kids you teach.
Well, yeah, you can't help it. It's not like a 45-minute class like a math teacher or a science teacher has. They have 5 classes, 45 minutes each. I have my students for 3 hours at a time.
Okay.
So we build a rapport and a relationship with each student. I sometimes spend more hours with them than their parents do because sometimes their parents work so much.
Okay.
So their parents don't get home till 6 o'clock, 6:30. They spend 45 minutes eating dinner. They do this. And by the time everybody goes to bed,
Right.
they may not spend 3 hours with them at night.
That's true.
Right? I'm with them 3 hours a day. 15 hours in a week is spent with me and them. So I've seen a big change. So it makes me think. I know I don't have all the answers. I know I'm not even close, but it makes me think. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking about this and knowing that this training is there, I'm going, maybe as a parent, as an adult, this needs to get more consideration as far as maybe we need to add this into the budget or into our lives or into our, or start it with a conversation. Start it around the Christmas table as a conversation. Yeah. Hey, what do you think about survival training?
And not from fear, not that the world's coming to an end, just as something we should know.
Right.
200 years ago, it was part of life.
Right. I mean, you may go around a table and everybody knows this is an absolutely horrible idea. I don't want anything to do with this. All right, well, then maybe you just
right
and drop a little knowledge on them as you go along the way afterwards, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe half of them decide this is really cool. We can do this together.
Right.
You don't know. But I'm saying is maybe it's time to at least have the conversation.
It's also, I know in the last 30 years that we've been doing this, we've been getting more and more family traditions now. We maybe bake our own bread for the holidays. Maybe we're making,
That's awesome.
For Christmas presents, I know we're giving away homemade wine, homemade soap, homemade cheese, and people love it because we made it. And it's not, we went to the store and bought it and gave you a present. It's homemade. It's different.
Right. That's awesome, right? But you didn't think like that until you started taking that training, right? Yeah. So it changed the way you think.
Yeah.
It's actually very, very neat.
More homey, and so that's kind of nice. So, did we get any calls in, questions, or anything? Okay. Well, that's going to conclude our 2021 Facebook Lives. We're right at the half-hour mark. I want to thank everybody for joining us this year. We're going to be back. Don't have the exact date, but it'll be the first Thursday in January, starting up our Facebook Lives again. Please write in on some topics you want to hear for next year. If you're interested in classes, I would suggest, here's a little heads up, prices will be going up in 2022. So if you want to sign up for some classes, you might want to do it before the first of the year. This is going to be our first price increase since 1997. So You might want to sign up for some classes if you want to get on the prices that we've had for the last 23 years. And we're going to be adding some new classes next year. We're going to be having some intensives. I know so far for sure we're going to have a fire intensive, and we're going to have a navigation intensive. We've been getting a lot of interest in navigation. So if you want to know a lot about map and compass, if you want to really learn about latitude, longitude, UTM, the military way, we're going to have that class. We're going to have one on trapping and traps, primitive traps. And if you have another topic you'd like an intensive on, write us, let us know. If I don't know the topic, I'm sure I know an instructor that I can get here that can teach it. So let us know. Again, thank you for a great year. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you back here in January. See you then.